I need your love, I need your time. When everything's wrong, you make it right. I feel so high, I come alive. I need to be free with you tonight. I need your love, 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 love. I need your love, 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 love. I need your love, 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 love. I need your love, 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 love. I feel so high, 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 high. I feel so high, 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 high. I feel so high, 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 high. I feel so high, 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 high,
Yep.
high.
Yep.
I need your love, I need your time. When everything's wrong, you make it right. I feel so high, I come alive. I need to be free with you tonight. I need your love, 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 love. I need your love, 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 love. I need your love, 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 love. I need your love, 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 love. I feel so high,
Yep.
high, 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 high. I feel so high, 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 high. I feel so high,
Yep.
high, 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 high. I feel so high, 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 high.
Yep.
High.
Yep. Yep.
Hello, good evening, and welcome back to the Overwatch Watchers Brawl, ladies and gentlemen. I'm 3.007. I'm joined by Sir Waltham. Is a taco a sandwich? We're about to find out.
Yes, we have hard-hitting questions like that and many more coming up in this interview that we have going. Of course, you know, as a follow-up post-show, if you will, we do have the tournament game between Sinai Village and Aptyx eSports going on. This is in the second round of the main brackets here at the Overwatch Watchers Brawl. We can go ahead and hop right into that interview, and our interviewee, the lucky or unlucky chap, if you prefer, going to be Senpai from Team Sinai here, hopping in, the Flex DPS player. Senpai, go ahead and say hello.
What's up, guys? Senpai from Sinai.
Fantastic. Now, I know I'm excited to see you guys start playing. I always love casting all these games. But how are you feeling? How's your team feeling? You guys feeling pretty ready to go against Aptyx?
I think we're all pretty confident going into this match. We've played these guys in the past, and they definitely seem beatable to us.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we like to hear. You guys came off of a very competitive game against Sub-Zero. If my score readings are right, it went down to the wire with a 3-2 game. Was there a whole lot, and not necessarily what, just was there a whole lot that you guys kind of picked up and learned from that you're looking to kind of shape as you go into Aptyx's game?
We definitely learned that we need to be less reliant on GOAT's compositions and try to expand our strategies a bit more. And ever since the recent, the meta has been more the meta is getting more well known to people. We can run different comps that don't have to involve us playing GOATs.
It's always good to have a little bit of diversity as far as I'm concerned. I definitely can't hate that. Now, moving forward, we are going to be starting, it looks like, on Hanamura. How are you feeling about Hanamura in specific? You guys, is that a good map for you guys, or how do you feel?
I'm leaning towards the side that's probably one of our better maps.
Right on, we'll definitely be keeping an eye out then. And now for the hard-hitting questions that everybody's looking for. It's time for the Waltham Sandwich Corner. Senpai, name your ideal sandwich.
Alright, my ideal sandwich. You want me to say, my views on, the sandwich scale, or just what I want in a sandwich?
Like you can craft a sandwich from the gods. What goes in it?
Right.
Just the core ingredients.
I'm pretty basic, so this is gonna be a shocker. But
Okay.
all I want is turkey and mayo, and maybe a bit of lettuce. That's it.
No cheese? No cheese?
No.
Wow,
No
that is an unpopular opinion. I hope it doesn't hurt you in the MVP poll, but I think we'll just have to see how that plays out. For some reason, people vote in the MVP poll for how well they think people are playing and not on their sandwich preferences, so I don't even understand Twitch anymore.
I won last time, so I guess my sandwich preferences is just the best.
That's true. We'll have to see if this changes things a little bit, but I'm starting to make myself hungry, so Senpai, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. Group up with your team. You guys can go ahead and get started prepping for this game, but thank you very much for coming in and answering a few silly questions with us.
Thanks for having me, dude.
All right, you have a great one.
Oh, you too.
Now, Threep, as I mentioned, Hanamura, we're going to be starting off here. Any expectations?
We've seen some really filthy plays on Hanamura. So when I see Aptyx eSports and Sinai Village going up against each other on Hanamura with Sinai starting on defense, I'm gonna be saying that was filthy, just over and over again. Probably for both teams.
I'm expecting a lot of clapbacks coming out, but it's interesting that we heard Senpai give kind of that answer of they're not looking to play GOATs as much. As we know, Hanamura, especially first point, can be very good when you utilize that Mei. So I'm wondering if they're going to start incorporating that a little bit more. They did say that this is one of their more dominant maps, so I think looking forward, it's gonna be really interesting to see how we go into that.
Sure, and I know it definitely doesn't count to. You can't call it 3-3 if there's a Mei involved. It's technically no longer 3-3, but we all know that she's pretty much a tank. The fun bit, though, is that both of these teams are definitely very nicely balanced in terms of players who can flex onto those DPS heroes. You know, the category and that bar down there that has actually the most heroes in it, but you don't really see a lot of them. Anyways, so it's super interesting. I think this is actually going to be a pretty solid matchup for both of these teams. Fascinating, honestly.
Yeah, one thing worth noting here that may throw a little bit of a wrench into Aptyx kind of gameplay is that Slushy actually going to be a ringer, so we're not going to be seeing the standard teams as much. We're going to be having Slushy in for kind of a substitute role. Perhaps one of the players got sick. We don't know. I didn't get a chance to talk to the team beforehand, but I'm not necessarily sure if this team will be as comfortable with Slushy. I think that we're kind of going to have to keep an eye on that. New blood always kind of mixes things up as far as I'm concerned.
I don't disagree at all in the slightest. Now, looking at Slushy getting a little of that Snoopy goodness, the the hero pool that they tend to have been playing in the past few seasons has been pretty squarely diverse, except for the most recent season where, of course, 3-3 won the day, and they were a definitive tank player. But now, We're looking like they might be some of that hit scan goodness, but again, no need for them to go crazy because we see a lot of good, solid Reinhardt play as well. I'm genuinely interested to see how they will fix in with the rest of the team. It looks like they've got that Vancouver Titans logo at least ready to rock and roll. So at the very least, I think they have that team synergy ready to rock.
Yeah, at least we're seeing at least half the team lock in. So I think that's kind of what you have to do at this point. You're gonna get bagged by the casters if you don't have all your icons matching. And right now, I gotta admit, I'm a little disappointed from both teams. I want to see synergy on all those icons right now. Aptyx trying to put it together, but just not quite. So I'll let it slide for now. We're still in the first few games of the tournament. It's only the second time these teams have played in this tournament for this month. But come on, guys, I expect better next time.
Yeah, and ultimately, logo synergy can kind of send a message, especially if you're looking, you're setting up, you see the other team, hey, now wait a minute, they've got all their logos matching, and sometimes that can start a bit of a discussion on the other team. I know, I've been there. So don't underestimate the importance of that.
Absolutely. And while it looks like we are just waiting for the teams to get set up here, Threep, it looks like I have a little bit of bad news for Senpai. Their choice of sandwich getting called out in the Twitch chat right now from what I'm seeing. I didn't want to do it to them, but I always have to get the investigative sandwich facts. All right. I'm sorry, Senpai. It's nothing personal. It's just how it goes.
Sandwiches are super important, and to say that all you can go for is a turkey and mayo when you're literally given the world for sandwiches, I'm not saying that you shouldn't stick to your basics, but that's kind of basic. Look, I said it again, nothing personal. I'm not saying Senpai is basic. I am saying a turkey mayo is pretty damn basic.
Hopefully not basic are going to be the comps coming out here. We're going to be hopping onto Hanamura now. It looks like everybody is kind of locked in and ready to go, at least in terms of getting their profile set up and everything like that. I think we had one player with an issue of being in the Japanese language, but moving forward, we have about 30 seconds before we unveil what the team comp is going to be looking like here. And it's going to be Aptyx, as mentioned, on the attack in red on the right of your screen for those of you a little less familiar. And then it's going to be Sinai on blue on the left. So just be keeping an eye out for those teams. And overall, I'm pretty excited for this.
You can tell Sir Waltham has my back and is generally the co-caster that I love the most because he stalled exactly long enough for me to not get debated by the defending team in comp session. So that being said, though, here comes Sinai Village coming out with what appears to be a composition that fulfills what Senpai had promised us, the literal opposite of a 3-3. Very standard, in fact, a 2-2-2, though with the new heroes, anything but standard.
Yeah, and this is interesting. They're going to be playing a pharmacy from the looks of it. And we had talked about Slushy a little bit before. They have a little bit of hit scan proficiency to them, so that may not be the best option here. I mean, it's hard for, the team Sinai to necessarily know that beforehand, but I think moving forward, if they choose to stick with it, it might be difficult, especially if Slushy continues to oppress them with a McCree or something along those lines.
Yeah, so now we have Senpai up in the air, McMercy backing them up. Oh, look at this! Symmetra turrets get set up right above the most common bunker point on Hanamura. So it looks like Aptyx have definitely read correctly what's going on here with what little stealth they've been able to do as the Bastion unloads on Aptyx's pharmacy combo.
Yeah, it's going to actually be, well, I was going to say a quad DPS coming from Aptyx, but it's just going to be the 3 DPS, the Hanzo, the Sombra, and the Pharah. It's going to be a little bit difficult to deal with Senpai. A lot of damage going to be able to just be rained down freely because there are no barriers. Potential for that Pharah to build a lot of volt charge very quickly.
And interesting, Sinai takes the rotation very early. Slushy starts to generate some of that EMP ult charge, but they warp out and get going. Meanwhile, Lucid Science finds Tree very early. Mercy goes down for Sinai, and that is going to be open season. Let's see how Wolfwind can keep up with the heals.
Yeah, in terms of expensive losses, losing the Mercy, especially when you kind of lose it at a lull, is going to be the most expensive. Ooh, that is a brutal rocket barrage.
I'm gonna go with Wolfwind's mortality field must have been misplaced. I didn't get quite to see the perfect angle on it, but Daddy Dylan's barrage speaks for themselves, and with only a minute 15 spent on that Hanamura point A, that is the kind of Aptyx that Sinai Village should have been expecting.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's gonna be hard. Like I see that Senpai trying to run the Sombra at least moving forward with the Sombra, maybe trying to keep Lucid Science in check. That's not necessarily a bad call. As we saw, Lucid Science did get the first kill on the tree, so preventing that from happening in the future may be the play. That being said, I think we're going to have to see how this shakes out a little bit.
Yeah, and Zeal switching over to the Widowmaker just to try and counter some of that Daddy Dylan action may not necessarily play in their favor. A Diva Bomb goes up at the top of the Dragon Ball, goes Dragon Joe out on the field, but that's just a distraction as Aptyx starts racking up the kills. Riso taking out their counterpart with a nice well-placed arrow to the face. Buzz goes down on the point, getting D-Mech. He goes down to an errant mine, and Aptyx has gotten the first take. They'll solidify the second, and now it's massive stall time for Sinai.
Yeah, it's looking like it's pretty much just going to be quick cleanup for Aptyx here, and in fact, it is round 1 going to be completed with a really short time on Aptyx's watch, but I think that's kind of the standard when you look forward with these kinds of pushes. We saw a really strong first push, which means that the attacking team gets to build up a lot of ult charge. They get a lot of resources in their bank, which they're immediately able to use on second point when they push, especially since we saw perhaps a few ultimates kind of not be or get lost rather when we saw all those switches coming through from Sinai.
Yep, they clearly were scrambling to get their compositions that didn't seem panicked. It looked like they definitely had a plan in mind. Zeal definitively dropping into the Widowmaker seemed like a very calculated choice. The other switches coming in as well, the Sombra to counter the Sombra, but ultimately Aptyx had a lot of snowball ult economy as well. Daddy Dylan, I think when that point B push started, had already 70% to his next barrage after those first couple rockets had come out. The ability of those direct hits to generate that charge is just unbelievable. So now it's going to be up to Sinai to kind of counter that, and yeah, there it is. They're going to be going with something a little more stable and consistent.
Yeah, I don't think that they're looking to run the Hammond a second time. Hammond, very good for kind of like pushing through a point, but not necessarily for holding one. Instead, they're going to go with the Orisa. Can't necessarily say I'm against it. Once again, they're going to be focused more on DPS than they will be on tanking power. But if Lucid Science is able to hold ground sufficiently, I assume they're going to be bunkering up with Slushy as the plan would be. You kind of don't need a whole lot of tanking if you're able to just make the DPS work for you and effectively push away the enemy anyway.
Yeah, speaking of pushing, the pull is in full effect. Lucid Science has switched over to the Orisa to couple with Slushy's Bastion, but this Symmetra Reinhardt-led comp might be getting onto the point a little faster, but Daddy Dylan has other plans.
Yeah, the hack onto Zeal going to at least be a little bit of a stall. What we see typically with the Sims is that they try to put a teleporter right onto point, and then we have the entire team rotate so they don't have to take those long lines of sight, which they're going to do right now.
They have done so, and there's not going to be any kills coming in, which means someone's going to have to touch if they're going to stop it. Nope, Zeal does go down. Slushy finding that little squishy, and a hack goes into Moira on Wolfwind, rather. Strike that, reverse it, thank you, and Slushy finds another kill. Senpai going down. Wolfwind follows, and Aptyx looks like they're going to be able to stabilize the defense here, but a tick is a tick.
Yeah, and right now Lucid Science playing this side objective very well. As we can see, the shield barely dipping on the point, and they're barely able to keep contesting, not giving up a whole lot of point progress while still not putting themselves at too much risk. And that allows Slushy to rotate with the team. You kind of like that. You kind of like to see that kind of strategy go forward.
I do definitely enjoy it, but that fight went on way too long. Trees Stagger there, who had dived off the map only just recently, means that that's a lot of time going, and as you can see, Sinai is definitely going to be behind Aptyx on the cap.
Yeah, the first point definitely not going to be looking as strong. We're going to actually be seeing the swap come out from Zeal, from the Sim onto the Widowmaker, almost taking out Lucid Science with a nice headshot. Not going to quite be dropping the Orisa tank as would be needed. But I think that if you're able to get those opening kills with that Widow, it can definitely provide some advantages. It's just really hard with the bunker comp that's so stationary behind a fat shield.
Yeah, now Moser also switches over to the Widowmaker. I'm curious what they're going to be rocking with here. It looks like they're going to be going for some kills onto Buzz, who does fall despite Soldier's sprint ability. Slushy does get the res after Tree also reses Wolfwind. So there you have it. It's teams almost at max strength, but Buzz having been down is not good. And does Slushy get the Leaf kill onto Leaf? Yes, he does. Daddy Dylan also finds Senpai. So again, Sinai has to retreat and die quickly.
Yeah, not necessarily sure if that nano tank was necessary onto Slushy. It looks like it worked out okay for them. I don't know if they'll be utilizing the tank mode, or if they would have been utilizing the tank mode that strongly in the first place. But still, you think the nano boost could have been spared, maybe keep your tank alive longer, or something along those lines, or save it even for the next push when you know they're gonna, be coming back in just a few short moments.
Yeah, Moser finds Zeal on the Junkrat, possibly in an effort for Zeal's part to generate some ult charge and maybe get a tire that can break this. They do get rezzed immediately, but there's still time. You're not really generating as much as you could. With now Leaf finding a little bit of a leg up, but Daddy Dylan also grabs Wolfwind. So more damage potential gone from Sinai, who are trying to set up, and it's just not working. The kills from Aptyx are just so strong.
Yeah, it was kind of a play that looked weird at first, but then when you see kind of why it happened, it made sense. Daddy Dylan popped the EMP just to hit Wolfwind, but that drops Wolfwind down to 50 HP immediately, making them for quick cleanup separated from the rest of their team. That makes the fight that is now taking place in the courtyard a 5v6, and it makes it easy cleanup for Aptyx. I like the high-level thought that went into that.
Yeah, big emphasis now. Sinai Village can no way, shape, or form get more time than Aptyx on this particular map. Leaf also gets the hack. Moser finds Buzz again, and it's just open season as Daddy Dylan even chases Leaf all the way into point B territory practically, which is brilliant. I'd rather have Sombra off chasing someone than another team losing their only tank.
Yeah, absolutely, and that Sombra, as we talked about, can be an absolute thorn in the side of the Sombra, or of the tank.
There it is. Wolfen finds Moser, but Slushy immediately counters on the Leaf. Senpai throws the barrage out, and there it is. There's the kills that might be needed. Sinai needs to touch the point, though, in the next few seconds, or they're not going to be able to get in. And Zeal grabbing Lucid Science with the Dragons on the point is huge. This is it. Sinai have opened it up, and now we're looking at a game.
Yeah, now we're gonna see the players start to flow onto point for Sinai, and this is really kind of at the buzzer stuff. Moser are gonna be trying to stall out a little bit, but questionable if that was necessary. You probably can't hold for long enough for the rest of your team to get there, and you're just gonna be giving your opponent about 300 points of ult charge. So it's a little bit questionable, but maybe they were too far invested at that point anyway.
Yeah.
Overall, it's still a good hold.
Yep, and then they switch back over to the Widowmaker, demonstrating that they definitely weren't planning on sticking around that for long. They also then immediately pick up Buzz, so it seems like it was a good switch.
Yeah, the DPS for Sinai really seem to be having a little bit of difficulty right now, especially against Moser. I think that Moser has pretty much shown most dominance in these 1v1s.
The balls on that Zenyatta Chrome Dome Wolfwind is playing is huge. Yep, there it is. Moser does eventually find that kill. Peeking a Widowmaker is pretty risky. And there's the Junkrat Tire coming out in a fight that is definitely already lost. Daddy Dylan, again, Chrome Dome Balls of Steel, dashes through the tire to finish it off. And even Slushy throwing out the tank on the field to try and boost his way back into spawn. Looks like he might be swatching off there.
Yeah, and that could have almost been a loss of efficiency coming through from Aptyx. In the end, it didn't matter. The tire came out. Carfixer immediately throws down the Immortality Field, but then the tire gets killed anyway, so you're just kind of sitting there with an Immortality Field in a less than ideal position. In the end, it didn't look like Sinai was really able to capitalize upon that. So you can't say much, but at the end, in different circumstances, may have been something to capitalize upon if you're Sinai.
Yeah, and now Sinai does have a Transcendence here to work with. They're going to be going up against Carfixer's Amplification Field and Riso's Nano. So, honestly, this could be a really solid opportunity for Sinai to make an economy push here. Maybe get a tick or two. The Trans will definitely keep them up for a long time.
Yeah, that's absolutely what they're going to have to try to do. And it's what's going to happen right now, however, there is a fat anti-nade going out.
Yeah, Riso makes it known that, yeah, Trans is neat and all, but have you tried biotic grenades? So they take out that one really quickly. It's going to be up to Sinai to come up with the kills to make it happen, and Daddy Dylan does go down, so this could be a bit of a turnaround here, but spawn advantage is huge for Aptyx right now.
Yeah, but absolutely, what we were talking about, there were quite a few ults invested from Aptyx. We see Lucid Science had to pop the Primal, Carfixer's just using the Amplification Matrix. So now ults are looking a little bit even. Both Buzz and Daddy Dylan going to be very close to getting their ults. Daddy Dylan going to have it up first, though.
Yeah, and Zeal going after Slushy is big, but Buzz getting demexed before they could make anything happen. Oh no, Moser gets the clean up. Zeal is anti-naded. The Immortality Field is down at the choke, meaning that Aptyx gets to sit there and hammer away. Poor Reinhardt, poor Leaf, doing their best. Wolfwind, though, finds Moser. Revenge is real, and Karma is a blank. So there you go. Wolfwind almost has even another Trans, and with Buzz on the Diva Bomb, this could be a fun push.
Yeah, it's looking very good. You think that they want to save that Diva Bomb for Zeal to get that grab. Zeal looking like they've been having a bit of trouble getting up that full charge. But we've seen a lot of switching come through for these players, so it's not that much of a surprise. And there goes the Transcendence for the response to the Blade.
Yeah, and if we can see that, though, it looks like the Nano... I couldn't see the Nano, but wow, Buzz gets at least sees Daddy Dylan and Car Phaser's Immortality Field, which you might not think that's big, but the barrier's now also cementing this. But can a High Noon make it happen? The answer is yes! Zeal actually goes down before they can take it out, but the flashbang T-Max Diva, what was that?
Ooh, the nice Earth Shatter just going to be hitting Daddy Dylan from the side of Leaf, it seems.
Wow, but here Aptyx gets the cleanups, and if Sinai doesn't manage to take this in the next 20 seconds, they are not going to be taking anything from Hanamura, not even a tie. And with the time necessary, it's going to be, if they don't get back to this point very quickly, I don't think they're even going to have a chance to touch.
Yeah, they're going to be popping the rally just to get there a little bit faster. I imagine Tree also trying to use that speed boost. Already used it out of the gate, actually, and nobody's going to be able to touch, it seems.
Wow. Brilliant IQ play, huge IQ play from Aptyx using Doomfist to boop the Diva away mid-charge from the point down onto the low ground. Literally impossible for Sinai to get back on the point there, though they did put up an excellent fight.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers kind of speak for themselves as terms of, you know, how the fights went, but still some solid efforts coming through. I think that Sinai can at least walk away knowing that they're playing better than we've seen other teams. I don't want to name drop, but we've seen other teams play against Aptyx, who have honestly been dominant for the last couple of months.
Indeedy do, and I feel like Aptyx on Hanamura is just a rough time to play against, especially if that's your first map. Like, you know what you're getting into, you know what you're going to be up against, and you have to do it anyways. So you're going up against a brick wall sometimes, it seems. So you do the best you can, you move on to the next fight, and the next fight is going to be determined by map bans and picks. And Aptyx, in their true fashion, have already banned Horizon Lunar Colony. Waltham, I feel, Aptyx, I think Aptyx, they're not doing it to slight you, I swear. Maybe.
I trust that. It's just Aptyx. It's tough. Whenever I cast an Aptyx game, I know that they're likely to win the first map, right? Which means that the first map that's immediately going to be banned, probably HLC. And that's, I feel like we just haven't seen a lot of it in this competition. And I think it'd be really cool to see kind of how those maps interact. I know that second point is really a pain for some people, or for some teams rather. So I can't necessarily say I blame them. I'm not going to be like, oh, it's such a good map, your team comp is so set up for it. I just think it'd be really interesting to see. But Junkertown, which we're going to be seeing next, I definitely can't say I'm against that either. A chance for a lot of pirate ship here. Again, Sinai Village kind of picking maps that seem to favor away from the GOAT style comps. However, there are still going to be a lot of control point maps left on the board. So I think that's definitely something to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, we still have, it's Lijiang Tower, Ilios, and Busan that get to be played. And honestly, as far as both Aptyx and Sinai have proclaimed that 3-3 is not their favorite composition, I'm going to say Busan is pretty much almost a guarantee that you're going to see it. And honestly, as much as I despise the comp as well, you can't really blame it. With Busan's tight corners and just lack of space sometimes on the point, we're looking at huge Sanctuary. You kind of pretty much have to.
Yeah, and it does kind of get tough, right? Because there are some comps that deceitfully look promising, especially in Sanctuary. You know, you have that giant gaping pit that is right next to the point. You think maybe we can run a crowd control boop style comp. We can run an Orisa, a Pharah, a Lucio. And yes, you can in theory, but the skyboxes or the ceilings are just a little too low for Pharah. It gets really claustrophobic for Orisa, so it gets very easy to push past your shield. Lucio, yeah, you can ideally try to run those boop style pushes, but it's predictable at this point. Like, you have to kind of expect that that's what's going to happen if you see an enemy Lucio on the team, especially since Lucios can get such high ground on that map.
Yeah, and I do love me some boop comp. Like, the well is, it's right there, man. Like, just use it, please, I beg of you. It's begging you to use it, and no one does. But at least we do get Ilios having a wide variety of compositions. However, for Junkertown, sometimes you also get a wide variety of compositions. Though I think Pirate Ship is even catching on in the league and other tier 3 plus play as well, given the recent boost that Bunker got in the form of Baptiste.
Yeah, and I mean, we talk about how, you know, it's now starting to get to the point where metas are more and more, or compositions within a meta are getting more and more allowable. It's not so much just you have to run goats, you have to run this. I think that once we saw Goat start to fragment into a whole bunch of different splinters, so we saw dive goats, and we saw all these different variants. We saw the May goats. We see goats, but McCree instead of Diva, something along those lines. You start to really kind of see how those can transform into even more comps. And now we're seeing quad DPS be more viable. And we talk about, you know, these maps being great for goats, but in reality, I think we're experiencing a large shift away from that, although that may not necessarily be reflected in the defense coming out here from Sinai Village.
Yep, and so Sinai is going to be tossing in a really standard 3-3. I guess I shouldn't say really standard because the original did feature Moira, who you almost never see unless you're a certain particular league team. In any event, though, Wolfwind is going to be rocking the anti-nades, and I guess I'm assuming that's what they're going to use them for. Meanwhile, it is a beautiful pirate ship coming out from Aptyx.
Yeah,
Wow, that was fast. Holy crap.
Yeah, kind of interested to see the Winston come out here. You don't typically see Winston on a pirate ship comp, but Sinai going to be getting very aggressive.
I think what they were going for here is Lucid Science brings the big 2000 rectangular shield. Meanwhile, Daddy Dylan just gets to hold his Tesla cannon left click down, and it doesn't matter what shields you bring to the table in that regard. And I guess they were also assuming that there was going to be a swarm on the pirate ship, and swarm there was, so Daddy Dylan, 50% to their ultimate. Meanwhile, Moser and Lucid Science pretty much there.
Yeah, Lucid Science able to just massively swing for some huge damage onto the collapsing team. And I can't even say that Sinai Village held too far forward, because when you're going up against a team that you anticipate is going to be running the pirate ship, you want to attack them as soon as they can or before they can get set up onto the cart.
Jesus Christ.
That was a brutal hammer.
Bless me, Padre, for Aptyx is a sinner in the hands of an angry god, and that god is Baptiste. Or I guess the god is Lucid Science, who with one of the fattest shatters on the planet, pretty much drives that point home, and with 520 left, Aptyx are sitting pretty on the point.
Yeah, Riso going to be pushing up a little far forward, and again, you have to remember, this type of composition, you don't want to lose Bastion early, but Daddy Dylan coming in from behind to actually clean up onto Sinai a little bit.
Yeah, an Immortality Field with a little bit of that Matrix action means that the positioning for Sinai gets a little wonky, and while Buzz is doing a great job cleaning up the builds, Lucid Science once again gets the shatter, makes the kills happen. Moser even gets the D-Mech thanks to that little burster. And Riso's still sticking on the Bastion. Interesting. Normally you figure this would be a swap off by now.
Yeah, I think usually we wait to see till the Bastion drops, because, I mean, you're already on cart. You've already, you know, pretty much got... the pieces are already there. Sometimes you just get lazy. You don't want to move things around too much. But that being said, I'm curious to see if we're going to see Sinai try to adapt to this, or if they're going to keep trying to run the same strategy. There's something to be said for perseverance, but there's also something to be said for ramming your head against a wall continually. So I'm curious to see how it plays out.
Yep, and so there it goes. The barriers on the point means with Sinai already taking down Lucid Science, it's looking pretty good for them. Riso going ham with the Bastion, though, and the Immortality Field kept them up just long enough. Even Lucid Science gets the res, and Riso goes tank mode, which means that, but Lucid Science goes down again. Daddy Dylan finding Wolfwind means that there's not going to be a lot of healing left. Shatter again goes out from, this time, Leaf, but the bomb comes back from Sinai. Unbelievable.
Yeah, this went very back and forth, but in the end, it looks like it's favoring Sinai just slightly. As we talk about a lot in these escort or even the hybrid style maps, whenever you get towards the back end of the streets or the second point phase, it starts to look way more favorable for the defenders here. But even now, we're still seeing Aptyx be as scrimmy as ever.
Yeah, Aptyx staying in there. We would like to say that if you leave a member of Aptyx alive, odds are they're going to keep the fight going, and keep the fight going they do. Riso finds Tree before they can get out of sight. Moser's Immortality Matrix field goes down, and now Riso has a big boom tank already, and they're not really going to be getting any kills out of it thanks to some skillful use of terrain from Sinai, who are staying alive despite what they have on the field. But Zeal going down early means that that's a lot of and the rest of the end it falls in Aptyx. Here we go, getting point B.
Yeah, Moser feeling like they're getting the amplification matrix very frequently, or at least that it's staying up for a very long amount of time. But they're still running the Bastion comp on attack. Aptyx is, that is. And it's looking like they're not even going to put the Bastion on the cart for the time being. They're going to rotate Riso up onto the fidget spinner area, as we like to call it, and see if he can get any utility there.
Okay, that's amazing, first off. Second of all, yeah, Riso and Slushy setting up very high up there. Oh, but that means the card is completely unprotected. Bastion's damage fall off I honestly am not too familiar with, but it looks like Leaf is having a fun time playing with Lucid Science without Riso to complicate matters by eliminating his shield too quickly. So the card is going to be sticking around here, and now it's going to be up to Aptyx to re-engage.
Yeah, and in fact, there was a little bit of double dose of counterplay. Lucid Science going for the hammer down, but Zeal popping the bubble onto Leaf. Leaf as well having that shield up, not going to let it find any purchase. Very nice, but we're still seeing Aptyx be scrimmy and still trying to hold this high ground. Very peculiar.
Oh, Leaf got a little angry there with the Shatter. Going for the solo Shatter on Carfixer. They missed them as they Guardian Angel away. So now again, Aptyx just kind of content to hold out here. I'm super curious as to what they're going for. Nano Boost even going on to Leaf to make sure that Lucid Science definitely can't get back to the cart. And now Riso and Slushy are even starting to encroach on the cart a little more.
Yeah, this is weird because we are seeing kind of a swap of positioning from the attackers and defenders. The attackers now towards the defending side, the defenders towards the attacking side. A nice Diva Bomb from Buzz.
Good Diva Bomb from Buzz. That's one small step for a tiny Korean gamer, one giant bomb for Sinai Village kind, and they go down, and it's good time. So now Aptyx finally, I guess, for them, fortunately, get a reset. Moser's dropping onto the Widowmaker. Riso's still holding onto the Bastion, probably because of that tank.
Yeah, they are going to have tank up immediately. Lucid Science taking a quick little snooze, however. You're going to be just a little bit of stall, just about 3 seconds worth while that Ryan wakes up, knocks the crusties out of his eyes, and gets back onto the field.
You know, he's an old man. He's got to get his cat naps when he can. Meanwhile, that means Riso, who is in an, I guess, you know, a sentient machine, gets to do all the hard work for everyone. Though Sinai's not out of this fight yet. Buzz getting the good kill. Tree finding Moser before they can set up a good sightline.
Yeah, and the nano boost going on to the Diva there. Words escape me for a moment. Going to be doing a little bit of work, however, not enough to prevent Carfixer from getting that res. You got to watch those res camps.
The res camp is real. Wow, Aptyx starting to clean up for real this time. Looks like setting up on the cart was exactly what the doctor ordered, and Zeal is not going to last long enough for them to stall this any longer. So that was a lot of time spent, though, and with 1:45 left on the timer, I think Sinai Village did a decent job there. They made up a lot of time.
Yeah, and once again, we are seeing, you know, despite how it worked the first time around, Riso going to be hopping onto the rotating platform again, hopping up there with Moser to get that high ground. Just trying to do a little bit of damage control.
Brilliant use of an anti-nade with Diva and Winston going up there to say, or sorry, just Diva going up to say hello. Tossing the bomb, however, maybe not necessary. Though with honestly Sinai's ult advantage here at the moment, I guess you can say they had a surplus, a profit, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that overall it was a little bit slick of a maneuver to keep the Bastion and Widowmaker kind of held in place. The Winston was kind of just a little bit of gravy on top of the potatoes, if you will. But one thing that was probably really advantageous, Slushy going down a little bit later in that fight than everybody else. And I just noticed we are seeing 4 tanks come out. It's looking like old school Moira Meatball with a couple of substitutions coming in. Hammond coming in as well.
And Moser on the GD. Hammond, that's not normally the player we see on the Hammond, but it looks like they're doing their duty with that crowd control. Daddy Dylan already having his ult ready to go. Oop, Leaf goes down. He has the nano boost, so he's not going to die just yet. And the barriers are going to keep him alive even more. And a sick anti-nade from Wolfwind means that Leaf gets to go hammers to the wind.
Yeah, that was an absolutely incredible high value nano or anti from Wolfwind. We saw at least 3 members get hit by that anti. And there was a lot of area healing going on, and you know, when you have area healing, you kind of give up focused high healing numbers. So they weren't even able to redirect that healing like resource.
Moser, being a sneaky hamster, has decided to push the cart just a little bit as far as he could, very cleverly dodging the Diva Bomb there. I don't think he's going to last long enough for this stall to mean anything as overtime goes down. There is no touch on the cart. Aptyx does not finish Junkertown, which could prove detrimental to them.
Yeah, this is kind of an opportunity here for Sinai. We can see that there is a definite line in the sand that they know they have to cross to get 1 point on the board and even it all up. They seem pretty confident that they can do it, and you know, I think that this is a very good chance for them. I don't know if they're necessarily going to try to run the pirate ship composition. The downside is that they didn't see how since they're on the attack second, perhaps if they saw how Aptyx would have defended against this, it could have given them a better idea how to defend against it. But at least now they know how Aptyx runs it, so they can maybe take that and run it in a similar fashion if they choose to do the pirate ship. Again, multiple different kind of compositions can come through here. Pirate ship just seems to be the one that requires the least amount of coordination, mechanical skill. No disrespect to the comp, but that's just kind of how it is. I'd be thrilled if we saw a double sniper come out, which it looks like on the defense we might. But I'm not holding my breath on that one. I know that that's kind of hit or miss, literally, when it comes to your mechanical skill players.
Right, and so yeah, this could be interesting. Sinai definitely have a humongous chance here, and not even going to comment on their composition again, but it looks like Aptyx are definitely setting up for one of what I would refer to as a filthy hold. Wow, Slushy making a very late change onto Ana. They are absolutely not going to make it to the field in time. No Lucio Taxi for them. So I think Aptyx are going to be a little crippled here at the start.
Yeah, but we are going to be seeing them run the pulled pork, so a lot of high burst damage coming through from the Aptyx comp. For Lucid Science and Slushy, it's going to require coordination. Moser and Daddy Dylan more the mechanical skill, but if the team of Sinai is able to play behind the shield, not going to be a whole lot that Moser and Daddy Dylan are going to be able to do. We're getting a pause called in here from Team Sinai, so we're going to be seeing that go through here for just a second. Looks like Zeal had a game crash, so we're going to be waiting for them to hop right back in here momentarily, but good grief, I'm already excited for this team comp here 3.
Yeah, pulled pork v pulled pork is a very, very interesting setup. The pause has definitely gone in. Yes, a game crash has occurred. Zeal ducking out of the game at a very inopportune moment. Fortunately, the cart and ult percentages have not moved too far along, so as far as inconvenience for Sinai Village goes, I wouldn't say it's super terrible, except for the fact that they are definitely set up on the cart, so that is not going to be the happiest of situations for them, but it certainly could be a lot worse.
Yeah, and you know, you can look at it in some more positives. At least they didn't drop the second or third team fight and they lose all their ult charge. That would be pretty detrimental. Now they're going to still be looking pretty in line with the rest of their team. Yeah, we see Tree and Leaf have just about 13% higher. Highest person on the board, however, has 15%, so you're not necessarily too bummed about that. As we're going to be hopping right back in, we're going to see if Zeal's able to recover in time with the Widowmaker pick.
Yeah, and I think they will. So, again, it's very early in the match. They haven't really done a super large quantity of work yet. So, yes, it looks like they're not going to be suffering at all for it. Senpai comes back to the match very quickly. And the pulled pork battle has occurred with Slushy and Lucid Science taking out their counterparts on the opposite side, which means Sinai now goes for the hills. Buzz, they do get DMAX, so this is a very nasty situation for Sinai now.
Yeah, and I like that Aptyx, you know, once they get those first few kills, they start surging forward very slowly. They don't get as aggressive as you might think they could, but that might be just because they know how close to spawn they are, but you don't really need to get aggressive when you get rapid-fire kills like that from Daddy Dylan.
Yeah, Daddy Dylan going absolutely ham. He already is building to an Orisa supercharger, which is very difficult to build, and the Dragons go out very early for Daddy Dylan. Unbelievable. I meant to say Lucid Science building the overcharger, but what does it matter? Riso kills way too many for this to matter in terms of a push.
Yeah, and we look forward, and at least in terms of damage numbers, Aptyx looking pretty superior this fight. We're going to see 4 ultimates coming online. Of course, Daddy Dylan just popping that Dragons. Moser not really finding a whole lot of purchase off the back of it. Zeal looking higher in ult charge, meaning they've probably had a higher number of damage shots, maybe not closed kills, but just having that information and showing the superiority there.
Yeah, speaking of clapbacks, here we go. Zeal finds 2 kills, taking out both the snipers from Aptyx. Carfixer makes a choice. They grab Daddy Dylan, who closer to more damagey ult than Moser, makes a lot of sense. Now the charger is on the field, so this should be Slushy's time to shine, and shine he does, though the charger being taken away early.
Yeah, and so far not a whole lot of kills, a whole lot of builds being destroyed, but Senpai getting the kill onto Lucid Science might be the rotation that they need. And it looks like Tree was questioning going for that res, but knowing that the Widow sightlines have him kind of locked down, looks like it's gonna go against better judgment.
Yeah, so wow. Oh, but here we go. Despite some kills coming out from Slushy, I think this is going to be going squarely in favor of Sinai Village, though again, we talk a lot about Aptyx, so seeing them maintain the fight here, though Zeal ripping apart Moser with a nice head click, means that it is going to be difficult. Lucid Science on the ground, their shield is up, they are getting mobbed, they die very quickly. Slushy is still alive. I am literally flabbergasted.
Yeah, I think that Slushy got pulled off of that high ground. You would have liked to focus down that hog. Not only does he have very little damage mitigation, but in order for him to get any healing, the Mercy also would have had to drop down, putting Carfixer in a very tough spot. I think that perhaps Sinai just looking to get the cart moved more so than confirm the kills. In the end, it looks like Slushy going to drop anyway, but you know, there's a high chance that could have turned around the other way just because Slushy didn't get focused down.
Yeah, and tricky little situation again, because Slushy didn't get it, but Zeal is going on an absolute rampage. Unbelievable what this individual is doing. And even Wolfwind finding a bit of that finish offer onto Moser, so Sinai looking very good in the Streets phase.
Yeah, absolutely. Lucid Side's going to drop not despite the efforts of Riso, who tried using the Matrix to clean up, prevent any damage from coming through. Both whole hogs coming through, though. A lot of pork flying here.
Yeah, and Riso's Diva not able to do too much. The bomb goes out, it grabs Senpai and the Supercharger, which was on its way out anyways. The Carfixer getting eliminated by Wolfwind means that a lot of sustainability just left Aptyx, and there's no one left to contest this point B. And so Sinai looking very good going into what should be the winning point for them.
Yeah, Carfixer getting killed that late may have seemed crucial, but they didn't have res up and it was just the one Mercy left on point. You're not going to be able to do a whole lot as Mercy by yourself, and without that res, it pretty much nullifies any reinforcements you're going to get without your team having to fight through swaths of enemies. So in the end, all Carfixer really could do was die or stagger longer. It's a tough spot, but it's not one that necessarily had the wrong call made to it.
Now, Aptyx is no slouch, so I think here we go. They're switching onto some heroes that means they mean business. Slushy onto Doomfist finds Leaf, Daddy Dylan had ripped apart Zeal, and Moser also dropping into the Tracer, building up very quickly, a lot of damage, finding Tree. That eliminates that. I think Sinai Village is going to have a long 3 minutes ahead of them if they want to push this through.
Yeah, the only thing worth noting, Slushy going to have a little bit difficult of a time, especially if Wolfwind's playing those hooks right. Doofus has a very predictable pattern when it comes to his flight patterns from his abilities, so you have to make sure you don't get hooked and killed early on into the fight, especially before getting any frags, or else your team's going to really be suffering because of it.
Yeah, Doomfist has a particular relationship with Roadhog, and that is the countered to the counter.
Yeah, absolutely. And right now we're seeing a little bit of the high ground. Zeal hopping onto this McCree. Hit scan pretty decent when it comes to high ground, but not even really able to take it to advantage.
Yeah, Slushy goes down way too quickly as Zeal switched over to the McCree, and now Daddy Dylan throws in with the blade, Tree goes down. Let's see what else they can manage to pull out of it. The answer is nothing! Leaf finds them way too quickly, and Buzz even takes out Lucid Science with the bomb. Riso finds Senpai, but it's too many kills now coming in for Sinai Village to Aptyx to maintain too much of a presence on the point.
Yeah, I just want to say Zeal pulled off kind of a wicked 180 flick shot onto the head of Moser, and I kind of like the way that this that Zeal and Senpai are running these more CC-based characters. They may not find too much purchase with them, but I like the concept. You're playing against high mobility. CC is a great way to mitigate that.
Yeah, Wolfwind escapes barely with their life after escaping from Slushy's ultimate and a number of lots of other damage sources. They also have the fire and their lasers ready to go, but the Moser with the pulse bomb gets Brick Eater. Riso finds Tree, so Sinai Village might not have a good shot here with this particular effort. I think they are going to be ducking out, though Zeal is going to find Moser as kind of a, hey, you know, we're not done yet kind of situation.
Yeah, I'm going to be taking a few headshots to rebuild that ult charge. Ugh, getting caught out, though. Perhaps using that high noon, yeah, you get the kill onto Moser, but Moser's going to swap onto the Ashe anyway, get a little bit more ranged in that McCree. And it's kind of weird that they run Winston Diva with this McCree Brig, because McCree Brig, not very mobile, but Winston Diva, some of the most mobile heroes in the game. So there's a half dive kind of situation going on here. I'm curious to see how they're trying to play this out.
Yeah, the fire and the lasers goes in. Looks like it's being used for the double deal of the healing and the damages. Buzz throws another Diva Bomb out. Should be big. It's not, though. It doesn't get anyone. Riso even pops trans, but Zeal does find Lucid Science. And now bombs from Daddy Dylan goes out on the point. Zeal had another high noon waiting for it. I don't even know how he generates it that quickly, but it looks like it was a reload. Buzz finding Slushy, though, means that Aptyx has their work very cut out for them, as Zeal even still keeps going crazy.
Yeah, going to be getting the kill onto Riso now. Even though Riso's going to get brought up, that means Cardfixer will not be able to apply a whole lot of healing, and Bob going to get absolutely destroyed by Zeal and company.
That was nuts how quickly that went down, and Zeal, again, doing the damage, has another Deadeye brewing in the works, but ult's now not looking good for either team, so it's up to mechanical and positional skill. Moser grabs Senpai, but the kills are looking very good for Sinai Village, who have gotten the bit of the edge here. Lucid Science going down as massive Riso following shortly after.
Yeah, overall, I think that it's going to have to be Aptyx kind of really having the onus on them to really swing this fight, and it's looking tough. Sinai's going to take it.
No touch from Aptyx, who lose Junkertown. So we are going to be seeing a moving now, and very exciting. Now we get to see the hero band coming out from them.
Yeah, and I am so giddy right now, not because I want to see Aptyx lose, but because I want to see them be challenged. I think a lot of times we have not seen them kind of, even lose more than one map to a team, and to see Sinai take that map in such a competitive fashion, I love it. I'm a huge fan right now of both these teams.
Absolutely, and caster impartiality being like totally a thing. We might say like, we're looking forward to them, but again, we're very just generally looking forward to as much Overwatch as possible. But looking back on Aptyx eSports history, they have a tendency to 3-0 their opponents. And for Sinai Village to come back, to clap back, if you will, with a map win there is huge. The series is now tied up. It's 1-1 going into the middle, and we're going to start seeing some interesting stuff coming out. So first of all, Sinai Village, interesting map ban going out.
Yeah, Gibraltar, they perhaps not feeling too confident. They want to avoid those divier maps. I can't say I disagree. I don't necessarily know what their pools are like, but I think they've been feeling a little bit more comfortable on maps that have more of a DPS focus rather than kind of a tank focus. And I think Watchpoint's one of those more tank focused maps. I think Eichenwald might be one we're going to be seeing coming up here. At least I'm hoping. Aptyx, I think, likes to run Eichenwald because they have that potential to run the Hammond or the Wrecking Ball in tandem with it.
Yeah. And so, yeah, they do. So, yeah, they have Aptyx Esports rather has been known for some very crazy defenses on Eichenwald, specifically the complete and total lack of a bunker, and just keeping with that Hammond and the Mercy, the crowd control just being way too ridiculous for teams to break through. So if they select Eichenwald, I won't be surprised. However, all the control points are still left in the pool, so if they were also to jump onto one of those, Lijiang Tower being, I think, another one that they're very comfy with, especially giving the Pharah a little room to breathe. There's a lot of options here.
Yeah, it may go to where we see 2 or 3 control point maps get shotgunned in a row if we take this the full distance. If for some reason, one team picks Eichenwald and then Hollywood is banned next, we'll see a control point map come up. But it looks like Lijiang going to be the pick here, so I guess not quite the Eichenwald pick I was hoping for. But we'll see how it plays out. Lijiang, still kind of a variable style comp. You can still see the Pharah be run quite a bit, which we've seen Aptyx feel a little bit comfortable on. Daddy Dylan particularly seems to like that hero when the opportunity arises.
Yep. And Lijiang Tower gives them a lot of chance to really flex onto that stuff. Even on the satellite map control center, it's just, I'm not saying it's a bad choice. It technically is, the skybox being considerably lower than the other maps can afford it, but you still have the opportunity. It's still very much a valid pick. And if I've seen Aptyx do anything, it's do things that they shouldn't do and make it work.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is, I don't know. I'm just ready. I am locked in. Again, I want to bring it up because I brought it up during Hanamura, I believe. Sinai Village saying they're trying to work on diversifying away from their goat style compositions here, but we know that Mei goats or the Mei substitution for that triple can sometimes come in on that command center submap. So I think that we might be seeing that maybe from Sinai. Aptyx again. I know that Aptyx likes to run Hammond. I know that they like to run a whole lot of different stuff. It makes it kind of hard to predict what they're going to run, despite we've seen them, a handful of times in these tournaments already.
Yep, and a bio break has been requested. It will not be granted. Instead, they will be running That being said, the brig has been saved, so that doesn't really make me feel the good feelings in terms of we're not gonna run 3-3. However, again, I can't blame them. Li Xiang is very good with the Brigitte compositions, so if terms of playing it safe and maybe actually sending Aptyx down to the losers bracket, that's probably what you want to be running with. However, now we're going to be looking at hero ban from Aptyx, and if I were Aptyx and it was time to bring out the mind games, I can see that being a thing where they maybe throw out no ban, or maybe they throw out the big ban. I don't know. Either way, could be interesting.
I don't know why I have this compulsion to say it, because I know it wouldn't change the game fundamentally too much for either side, but I want to see Lucio get banned. I always like seeing Lucio get banned on these control point maps, because I feel like, you know, these maps are already so brawly that sometimes seeing like the slugfest come out from things being even slower is just amusing to me. I know it's not realistic. In fact, we're going to see Bastion be banned. Not sure how much application that's going to have in the game, but we'll see. Who knows? I know Aptyx seems comfortable to run it. Sinai Village got some mileage out of it on Junkertown, so we'll see. I doubt it's going to shake up things too much here on Li Xiang.
I have a feeling we might be looking at the classic mind games from Aptyx. Banning Bastion for Li Xiang Tower doesn't really inspire, how do you say this, woe, dread, foreboding. I can guarantee we're not going to see any Bastion. That's pretty much the long and short of it. Now, banning Pharah, that would be the king of mind games.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, as far as Aptyx goes, if they don't play Pharah, I'm going to eat the thing on my right, which is actually currently my phone. So, Daddy Dylan, you got potentially up to 3 maps to make it so that I don't have to eat my phone. Like, I got a fork. Like, I can do this, but...
Do you need a slice of bread to make a phone sandwich? We'll bring it back to that. We got a selection of sauces. It's very apparent Senpai's not going to be putting anything on his sandwich, so you have a whole lot to choose from.
Jeez,
I'm sorry, Senpai. I had to throw it out there a little bit more.
Yeah,
I'm not over it.
The rest of the ingredients in the universe are at my disposal, apparently. So yeah, generally kind of interesting. So what do you even say about that? I guess I'll go with maybe. Nah, we'll just say that here we go. Hopefully the teams are going to be getting started here soon because we have our bans, we've got our stuff, we're good to go. That being said, though,
no, yeah, we're finally getting our teams ready and locked in. One thing to look forward is that I'm seeing, at least in chat, I'm not sure how true this is, looking like Slushy on a very strict time limit, so may have to be swapping in the cinch player here, so gonna be subbing in for the sub in the future, perhaps, if these games go long. Not sure if Aptyx was expecting more than a 3-game series here, but they're certainly gonna get it.
Yep. And honestly, I still want to emphasize that I really can't really say anything about Slushy's performance so far. They've been doing some solid work on the heroes that they've been required to be playing. So, as far as subs go, I think Slushy has been doing a solid job. However, since Aptyx has lost a map, I'm not saying Slushy is to blame for this at all in the slightest, but I would say that maybe, you know, this is not the Aptyx that has been so dominant. That being said, control center map, this could be fun. This could be interesting now.
Yeah, if Riso runs this Doomfist, I'm going to be very happy. I'm not expecting it because I'm wiser than that by now. I like the Reaper pick on this map as well. It's a very cramped area, especially when you get the Mei kind of choking off people, making them be a little bit more claustrophobic than you might expect. So overall, I think that kind of some synergy can go here. They're not going to be playing the Mei version of the 3-3 quite yet, but we'll see how it shakes out.
And so there it is. Moser is a Reaper that we've seen before. He goes in, shotguns ablazing, but it's Slushy who goes down first. Leaf finds him. And are they going to be able to get the clap back onto Leaf? No. A bubble keeps him and his shield alive. So they are doing a very desperate job of trying to take that Reinhardt down, but ultimately it's not happening. So Moser actually is going into the backline to try and make something happen. He gets stunned and has to retreat immediately. Fat anti-nade going on to Sinai Village, though, means that kills now going to be coming in on both sides, with Lucid Science also going down.
Yeah, a lot of like blows getting traded back and forth here, but Leaf, worth noting, absolutely dominating the ult charge game when it comes to the two Reinhardts. Neither team taking point, however, most are gonna throw that ult away thanks to Senpai's shield bash.
The snipe of snipes from Lucid Science, the Fire Strike eliminating Senpai just as Sinai was about to stabilize, and so first point flip goes to Aptyx. Moser actually now on a Junkrat. Fascinating.
Yeah, we are going to be seeing a lot of ults in favor of Sinai, so they were very sufficient at holding that fight for as long as possible, but they just didn't have the quick swing back. Buzz and a massive Dio Matrix eat.
That was fantastic. They eat it like it was breakfast time, and the Shatter even goes out, catches Lucid Science, kills for days! Zeal goes nuts! Along with Buzz's mini rockets, making it so. Aptyx does build a lot of percentage, but Sinai looking very strong as they come back into the retake.
Yeah, and not a whole lot of ults being used for Sinai either. Senpai only using the rally. On the other hand, I believe we saw the Mei ult as well as the beat drop. So very ult efficient here from Sinai Village, and they're gonna need it knowing how well Aptyx play. Riso dropping early. Leaf, I'm loving it right now.
Wow, I can't believe they threw the Grav into that. Zeal doesn't even have to use theirs. Lucid Science tosses a Shatter. He doesn't get anything thanks to Leaf on the wind shield action. Again, now we're seeing Sinai stack ults, and Aptyx doesn't really have a lot to say for it.
Yeah, this is kind of the first time I remember Aptyx having the shoe on the other foot here. They look a little bit frazzled. Going to get a lot of people stuck in that grab. Not going to find anything with the Diva Bomb, though.
Wow, and instead, Zeal actually is the one go down. Now Leaf throws out a Shatter. Nothing happens. He instead actually gets frozen, and Sinai starting to get pushed away from here. And despite the quantity of percentage they're building up, I think we might starting to see some of that Aptyx clapback that we know and love. Barriers out for both teams. No one dying thanks to that. But here comes the Dragon Ball, and it doesn't. Sorry, the tire. It gets two. Wolfwind Tree goes down. Leaf gets charged, and Aptyx's dominance on the point is all but assured.
Yeah, still, a very good hold from Sinai. They blew quite a few ults, though. You know, for what they landed, we saw the Diva Grav combo try to come together, but the Mei wall from Riso was just a little too effective. Then we saw the hammer down come. It whiffs. It doesn't hit anybody because of the angles that Leaf had to try to take. And then they used their support ults just to try to keep alive and extract from the situation. And now they're working with nothing.
Yep. And the Shatter having come out, Moser has decided that it's their time to shine. They pull out the 4.5k, 5k, it's a team kill, it doesn't matter. They almost have their next tire, and with Car Fixer on the way to a Nano, and Riso Slushy actually not really looking so good on their ult charge, but they do get walled into spawn, so that's going to be a bit of time.
Yeah, worth noting, Car Fixer does have that nano boost, so if they want to get Slushy that ultimate, they absolutely can. Nanoing Azaria is a great way to get that ult built up real quick. You have to forgo a little bit of stability. Slushy going to be getting the fat right clicks on the Wolfwind.
Jeez, the teeny tiny chrome dome of Wolfwind, but however, not the HP pool you would like to see. And so it's now a bit of a spawn press as Aptyx takes this right to the airship coming in. And wow, this is disgusting. They're even going to be throwing out, but Wolfwind finds two! Unbelievable!
Yeah, the grab coming out from Slushy just to lock down Tree on that Lucio. Perhaps not the most savvy ult, but there wasn't really a whole lot of time for Sinai to kind of contest anyway.
I guess it's an ends justify the means kind of situation. When you have a full court press like that going in, you know that there's no way they're going to be able to get back on the point to contest unless they do something super sneaky. But from what I could see, it looked like Aptyx was doing a pretty good job of locking up both exits from the spawn.
Yeah, and it's interesting because Sinai Village taking the entrance, or the second entrance that we don't talk about a whole lot. It's the entrance that if you get Mei walled off, if for some reason there's a permanent wall that goes up there, you can still kind of get out and around and still work through. But it just seemed like Aptyx had their number. As soon as they went for it, they collapsed on them from the outside. So overall, very interesting. But the Hammond Farah is what we're going to be seeing right now, and I love it.
Oh yeah, this is classic Aptyx at its finest. Carfixer on the Mercy, Lucid on the Hammond, Daddy Dylan up in the skies with the Pharah. This is a no bueno tiempo, and there it is. Moser pops Zeal to kick it off. Aptyx rocking it hardcore. Tree barely Guardian Angels out of there alive, but not before Zeal gets res, so that's good times as Slushy goes down very quickly. Lucid finds the counter onto Leaf. Daddy Dylan kills Zeal again, reminding them that they should be dead. Moser finds Buzz, so Sinai, however, is the one with the point presence, so they're going to be building percentage first, though Aptyx definitively has map control.
Yeah, it's going to be very tough for Senpai and Tree to hold here, especially with that hack coming through. Not a whole lot. Leaf going to be trying to bail out. Might not be enough.
Well, they got about, or rather, they are going to be getting a significant quantity of percentage on the point for a capture that was not necessarily because they were in dominance in that fight.
Yeah, and, that is sometimes a valid strategy. You just put people on the point to kind of have to make the enemy divert focus. In the end, it looks like Aptyx wasn't necessarily baited by it. They just decided, hey, we'll finish our meal here, then we'll go snack on point a little bit later. But Senpai gonna be getting a kill on the Daddy Dylan. Might be the turnaround if they're able to prevent the Mercy from resing.
Senpai on a Genji makes me extremely happy. However, Carfixer does get the res. Senpai goes down because Lucid Science is a hamster, and hamsters and balls make lots of bad times for squishy characters like Genji. Risa switched on to a Toblerone while I wasn't looking, so that just makes me happy.
Yeah, indeed. You love seeing the Swedish man come onto the field every once in a while. And one thing I gotta say, Leaf playing a very bold choice in the Hammond here. If you're going up against Lucid Science on that Hammond, you have to be prepared to be very up to snuff, because Lucid Science, a very strong ball player.
And it's interesting, you figured there would actually be the opportunity to bring out the Roadhog here. Sinai was so powerful on it on Junkertown, and it's what I think won them the map, honestly. But yeah, there it is. Lucid Science traps Leaf in his own ultimate's demise. Moser finds Senpai. Slushy grabs Zeal with a bunch of head clicks, Tracer being one of the lowest health heroes in the game. And Aptyx is starting to pull off what I would like to refer to as nasty plays.
Yeah, and we can see that it's looking like Sinai trying to run a little bit more of a divier DPS style here. We see the Genji, we see the Tracer, but those are characters that can't necessarily deal with a Pharah too well. And a nice EMP coming out.
Gets 3 bad times, friend ahead. Buzz, though, Buzz has his sights ready to go. Wolfwind even has the nano to go along with it. So if Sinai's going to make a comeback, I think it's going to be on the back of the combo, but that's only if he can live. Moser finds Soldier 76's head.
Yeah, and right now, I mean, Riso's pick on the Torbjorn feels kind of inconsequential. Not a whole lot coming out from it, but in the end, it's going to be just enough to lock down the point. Aptyx going to be taking our third map for a score of 2-1.
Yeah, maybe it's the threat of Torbjorn, maybe it's just I know the turret's out there somewhere, and so you think, maybe even subconsciously, let's not go that way. So I think that helps Aptyx funnel Sinai into exactly where they want to go, which is right into Daddy Dylan's rockets and Lucid Science's gigantic ball. So the results speak for themselves. Moser, we're going to be looking at his massive kill, by the way, on this little feed here. But yeah, Aptyx takes Lijiang Tower pretty handily, so now we're back into Sinai's court, who, after choosing Junkertown, had that nice little win, so this might be exactly what the doctor ordered for them.
Yeah, it's a little ironic here that looking back at the beginning of this cast, or this broadcast, we saw Sinai talking about how, we're trying to get away from those GOAT-style comps, but then in Command Center, where we see perhaps GOATs be a little bit more effective, that's where they had a little bit more success as compared to this comp that Aptyx able to just run so cleanly, so efficiently. Like, Aptyx looks, happiest that I can imagine a team being on this Hammond. In these situations, there was a time period for a very long time where we didn't see any Hammond play just because he was so new. His kit's kind of very nuanced, but Aptyx really taking advantage of that and really utilizing those nuances to open up for DPSs.
Seeing the prevalence of compositions is definitely based not only on their efficacy, but also on teams being willing to try them in the first place.
Right.
The initial birth of the 3-3 was thanks to Team Goats. Like, again, I'm sure they weren't the first team to look at that and be like, man, I think this is going to be really awesome, but they were the ones to popularize it, evidence of the fact that we call it Goats, even when it's not actually the original Goats. So when I see Mercy Hammond being played a lot in various formats, not only tournaments such as this. I think that speaks for the validity of it pretty clearly. Speaking of validity, though, Slushy, having done their duty, is going to have to drop, as Aptyx is going to be bringing in another substitute.
Yeah, their substitute for the substitute going to be Potato. I've made the hot potato joke a lot here, folks, but overall, I think Potato, a pretty reliable addition to the team. Going to be kind of what we've seen from the historic Aptyx, if you will. Eichenwald going to actually be banned from Aptyx. A little bit surprising, because that seems like a very friendly Ball and Farah kind of map to me. But it's looking like the next map is going to be Hollywood. We cannot choose another control point map, meaning that we're going to be taking it to the land of glitz and glamour for our next showdown.
So I don't disagree with this particular option coming out from Sinai Village. There is a carts phase. However, that does imply that they're able to get to the carts phase. Now, their ability to take Hanamura point A was pretty strong. So when you say that, yeah, they have a good shot at this, I don't disagree. I think that this is a solid choice as far as maps go. Since the ban on Eichenwald came out, you might as well go with the next one.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't really a whole lot of choice. Hollywood was the only non-control point map we did have available. Of course, it being a hybrid is going to be the only one that we're seeing since Eichenwald got banned, to my dismay. But I still think that, you know, this kind of puts a weird position, because we know that snipers can be a little bit powerful, especially on that streets phase if you get them choked up at the very front half. So it's kind of one of those situations like, you know, what do you prepare for? There's a lot of different styles that can be played here. We see bunker comp be played a lot on the first point defense. We can see a Reinhardt hold those angles pretty well. Traditional dive, also never a bad option if you're able to identify weak links in the attacking team's composition. So I think a lot of different styles might come to light here. It's going to be curious to see what Aptyx chooses in the end, though.
Fair point, I think. Honestly, the possibility that Aptyx would take all of that into consideration and just say, F it, we're going to go with the Symmetra Bastion because that's a composition that we run really well. But that's a composition that also runs really well on Eichenwald. And since they were willing to ban it, I'm curious as to what their strategy is going to be, given that Sinai Village turned right around and selected Hollywood. Possibly, and again, that could be... Aptyx is known for the mind games. So did they ban Eichenwald thinking that the exact thing would happen when the Gibraltar brand came out? I don't know. The possibility is real. So maybe they are just going to go with the usual. The fact of the matter is Moser's still in the game, though. And as far as Widowmaker play goes, both Zeal and Moser have been doing absolutely fantastic. So if that means we get more of that, then that's some variety that I'd like to see.
Yeah, I definitely don't disagree. The variety coming through here, pretty thick, pretty thorough. So we're gonna be seeing. Still waiting on the hero saves and bans. Looks like Junkrat is going to be the hero save coming through from Aptyx. Again, not necessarily sure that's going to be applicable moving forward, but I think Aptyx kind of builds to where they give their opposing team the biggest or the least disadvantage they can. They kind of want to have a challenge, it feels. We know that they don't necessarily seem to favor banning against their opponent, just more so banning to kind of keep the options open.
And I would also argue that since the bans are now into effect for both teams, possibly by picking just a random DPS hero, or sorry, a seemingly random DPS hero, you could say that Aptyx is actually keeping their options open as much as possible while also simultaneously playing that mind game. Yeah, they could also say, you know, oh, we're not gonna ban anyone. Instead, they actually are picking a ban, so that gives them two things. They get the little bit of the mind game action, and they also get the ability to say, yeah, but we're also going to leave ourselves open to as many compositional possibilities as possible.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's what we're gonna have to be looking forward to moving forward. Sinai once again going to be on defense here at Hollywood. I want to look towards them for a second. We saw the Bastion composition be a little bit effective on Junkertown. However, they struggled a little bit when they tried to use the sim strats on the first point Hanamura. So I don't know if they'll do sim Bastion or if they'll try to go for something a little bit more bunkery. I would love to, as we've talked about many times before, see the Baptiste come out and see if they can play that in a bunker style. Ultimately, maybe, but I think that if you, I always talk about it, if you play that bunker style, you're gambling giving up a majority of your second point because you're just going to have to swap and lose a lot of ult charge, lose a lot of resources that you put in. And so far, we're seeing the Baptiste come out. I like it.
Yeah, no lie, Baptiste is you're basically gambling. You are saying, all right, look, this is our comp, we've got it. Bunker is literally, you're throwing your eggs into that basket. And given what Sinai's coming out with right now, I think it's a pretty good basket. I think it's well reinforced. Got a lot of those bells and whistles that you would expect out of a 20 blank century basket. I don't even know when Overwatch takes place, really. They have AI and cars without wheels. That's what they said would be in existence in our century currently.
The future is now, Threep.
You could say old man, Waltham. It's true. I'm 30.
That being said, I really am looking forward to this bunker comp. Again, the bunker comp kind of taking advantage of just having to stay stationary and just funnel damage from a point, kind of like a spear, just putting all the pressure from one angle. And it's going to be double sniper going against this. It's going to be tough, I anticipate, for Riso and Potato to find a lot of damage, but we might see the dive switch come out.
Ooh, Cardfixer actually flipping onto the Brigitte. Nope, it's a trick! He's on the Pharah! And yes, for as far as bunker-busting heroes go, that Aptyx favors, that's going to be a good one. But Senpai finds Potato very early on into this fight, so that's going to be a less source of damage. But Daddy Dylan spends the cooldown, they get the res in, so we're back up to a 6v6. Buzz not seeing a lot of action right now.
Yeah, this is kind of a composition that's hard to really kind of push with. Lucid Science not really going to have a whole lot of damage mitigation from Buzz. However, he's going to get pretty much unnoticed and just knock everybody down from the behind. Not going to really have his team capitalize upon it too much, though.
So interesting, Buzz seems to be, like, it's the composition. They're not able to find any of Aptyx long enough to kill them, which is fascinating. Instead, Leaf actually goes down just to the sheer strength of the shield bust. So here you go, that's going to be it. Wolfwind, this immortality field goes down. The amplification matrix is in, and Buzz is finally going to get a kill, whipping up Cardfixer, but that's going to get rezzed pretty quickly, and it's a much longer walk for Orisa to get back than for that res to take effect. And here comes Lucid Science finally doing some of that crowd control.
Yeah, really, as you said, Buzz going to really be struggling to find these angles with the snipers, with the massive amount of long-range damage that Aptyx is running. They can be hitting Buzz from so many different angles, which we're going to be seeing Potato take them down, that you can only focus in one direction with Bastion, and when you have to lose that focus, it's detrimental.
So there was no singular moment at that point where you would normally scream and ooh and ah and hoot and holler, but Aptyx's deconstruction of that bunker comp should be reviewed by almost every team in existence. They took the angles, they found what they needed, and the best part, in my opinion, Riso going back, dueling Orisa before she can get back to the point, meaning that you are completely alone on the point without any sort of meaningful shield, because Reinhardt is Lucid Science's little playmate.
Yeah, absolutely. And Moser are going to be taking down Wolfwind. It's going to be expensive that Zenyatta will not be able to build ult charge. And as we talked about, a lot of swaps means a lot of lost ult charge. You want to be keeping that on the pocket as much as possible. Moser doing a little bit of kiting. You also kind of like that, just distracting the tanks, Leaf and I believe Buzz kind of losing their focus for a bit.
I mean, moving the payload 60 meters past Street's phase without them getting a chance to contest at the choke. No contest at the choke means that's definitely going to be going for Aptyx's favor. And with Buzz being the sole member on the point after Leaf joins the field, means that I think this is pretty much going squarely in favor of Aptyx, who are now going to be bringing it back into the field. Leaf goes down very quickly thanks to Cardfixer's timely arrival with rockets. And Lucid Science again starts getting into that crowd control Bojangles as Cardfixer takes a dirt nap.
Yeah, worth noting, Cardfixer gets napped, but it's not really going to be able to be capitalized upon because, you know, you can nap the Pharah in midair and it's a really skillful shot, but if the Pharah lands in the middle of her own team, you don't have the opportunity to capitalize upon it, especially without the Mercy going for the res as soon as she drops. So, massive looking play, but it's just not able to be followed up upon.
Interesting choice. Buzz detonates a lot of mines. I couldn't really tell if that was willing or not, but Carfixer also demonstrates the ability of Pharah to die when using the ultimate, which is a ability that all Pharah players have. It's really quite rare, honestly. Lucid Science playing around on the point contesting, but Sinai is going to stabilize with even some ults coming online.
Yeah, the only one making it out of there going to be Daddy Dylan. And I'm just now realizing we're seeing a lot of swap ups here coming from the team comp. Daddy Dylan on the support, Carfixer on that McCree. Of course, Lucid Science going to be maintaining Potato on the DPS as well, but very curious kind of seeing how this is kind of switching out between all the players of Aptyx.
Turns out there are more than one Widowmakers on the team of Aptyx eSports, but a grab is going to be going out from Zeal, and that's going to be bad times friend ahead for my man on the Aptyx, but oh, Daddy Dylan goes down to the bomb. Yep, this one's definitely going for Sinai, who also find Moser and making it bad times for Aptyx to stay in this fight.
Yeah, and Sinai, once again, we're kind of seeing them get reassembled. Once we see this happen, Sinai starts to look a little bit better. We saw this on Junkertown, and you know, once they get stationed, they can have some really good performances, particularly on defense here. They are going to be pretty even when it comes to ult charge. Zeal almost getting away.
And the aerial snipe onto Wolfwind means that this is Aptyx's big chance to go in. Huge source of healing and no nano boost. Barriers is ready, and Senpai is also about to build up to... Oh, but they can't get it into action because Potato decided it was time to say goodnight. Riso finds Leaf. It's looking very good for Aptyx to push this to point. Oh, jeez, Potato. Calm down.
Yeah, and if you're Senpai, you're almost kind of glad you didn't pop that rally, because if you lose that rally, like if you lose it while it's activating, then it's gone. You don't get it back. There's no ult regain from that. So you're kind of glad you fall right before you pop that, if that was the plan for Senpai. But
yeah,
speaking of falling before things, Leaf, that was a little bit of an ugly positioning situation.
Yeah, there's a blessing in disguise, and then there's also the whole kind of situation of literally just never having a chance to actually be alive long enough to pop your ult. Potato doing such a good job that Zeal actually has to switch on to the Widowmaker to give them a taste of their own medicine.
That is certainly the plan here, however. We've seen Potato play this Widow before. Looks a little bit dominant, so I think that it is certainly not an easy task that Zeal is going to be having ahead of them. And ooh, that is a nasty mine placement coming in from Lucid Science. Even if they do die, a lot of mines in the hallway are going to choke down a lot of people.
Yep, Leaf is going to find Carfixer with a nano boost. It's going to be very difficult to burst them down. They actually kill Riso. And Aptyx, little straggled here at the moment. Lucid Science is going to start building their way to their next ult, but right now Aptyx is going to be stalled, and with a minute left, that's not a good situation, especially given the quantity of ults they're going up against.
Yeah, Daddy Dylan getting a little too bold, popping the Valk just to res up Lucid Science after they dropped the mines. I don't know how much resing up Lucid Science would have done, but I certainly don't think you needed to res a Valk, or you needed to pop Valk into it, and especially to lose it, to not get the res, to lose your Valk. That is an expensive trade that you're gonna want back.
Agreed. And now Buzz's ult going in. It uncategoric. So weird that that didn't get anyone's. Buzz is usually pretty solid with the placement. Wolfwind does find the opposite on Moser, though. Potato also then gonna grab Zeal with the Widow duel. With the high noon coming out from Carfixer, this could be pretty nasty. At least is going to clear the way for Aptyx to have a little bit of a place to make their stand. With Lucid Science going in, slamming 4.
Yeah, and the thing is, when you slam that many people with Hammond, you're going to build up a lot of ult charge rather quickly. And speaking of ultimates, the nanos going out from both sides onto the Primal Winston. That is a lot of damage that monkey will be able to take.
Yes, Rez going on to Moser, but Riso's going to be dead for good. Potato falls down immediately after. It's not looking good for Aptyx, who this is their last stand. They pretty much are in one-fight territory. Buzz gets demeched, though. Daddy Dylan going a little bit of that Neptuno Battle and Mercy action, but barriers coming out for Sinai means that there's no way for Aptyx to get back on the point. And it's another Streets phase that doesn't get completed for them. I'm seeing now the wisdom in Sinai.
Yeah, Sinai kind of knows that Aptyx does not have a whole lot of staying power with that comp. It's a very jumpy comp. When you have the 4 DPS and no shield tank, there's not a lot to kind of rally behind. So when you have to hold on the cart in that style, it means you have to stay very mobile, and that really increases the chance for the teams to even accidentally get off the cart and lose it, especially when that time bank starts ticking down faster and faster and faster.
Yep. So that being said, though, the Streets phase went relatively well, I would say, for Sinai Village. They, after all, stopped Aptyx from the full map completion, which means all Aptyx needs to do is match them by 0.01 meters, and they win. However, Hollywood, much like Eichenwald, starts with a point take, which means Aptyx eSports gets to flex.
Yeah, and Aptyx
What?
is looking like they're coming out with a little bit peculiar of a comp. We usually don't see the Ryan and Winston run together. Wondering what the plan is here. Obviously, the Zarya and the Ryan can kind of combo very well. Daddy Dylan as well going to be able to be up front and personal with that Brig. But Carfixer, like, yeah, you're going to be ferrying the Reinhardt around Moser. You can give healing to Riso, but it feels like that's going to be the only person if you're focusing, you know, the deep dives from Riso. Unless you're just trying to use the Winston as kind of a damage source against a really clumped up team comp. I have no idea what they're going for with the double barrier shields right now.
Yeah, the W barriers definitely just is a lot more hit points for a team to get through. And with Leaf running in here, they're going to get a little bit of the taste of that. And yes, I think it means that Lucid Science gets to hold his shield up just for a bit longer. Well, Riso makes it apparent that all the squishy is going dead. But Senpai's high in the sky. That's going to be difficult for any member of Aptyx to get a hold of. No Diva in this comp.
Yeah, however, Moser looking like they're having a crack shot onto that Pharah. I really like this positioning up onto the aerial. They only have to be careful not to get booped off by Senpai, but they're going to drop down anyway.
Yeah, the Buzz, the burst damage potential from Buzz, though, very high, especially with Senpai, who is almost to their barrage. Like, this is crazy. No kills from either teams yet, but a Discord going to force Riso away and to get some much-needed healing. No one really breaking onto the point except for Zeal, who finds Riso as the Leaf falls onto the point with all the weight of, well, what's heavier than a Leaf? I don't know. But it's real, and Sinai is making it very apparent that they're going to take this point.
Yeah, Sinai really does need to be a little bit explosive here, and speaking of explosives, that's probably not the way they wanted to do it, because they did have man advantage. They really needed to kind of utilize that to their favor, but they're gonna lose. We see them now dropping heroes left and right. It's gonna barely be Senpai as well as Tree getting out of there in time. And man, you know, despite the first few kills going in favor of Sinai, did not end up that way.
Not gonna lie, wasn't really expecting that to go the way it did. Zeal, however, with a tire, that's a lot of dangerous ultimates coming out from... Ooh, Grav goes out very early, finds Leaf. That means those mines are not gonna be a part of this. Potato goes crazy looking for ult charge, and boy, are they ever gonna find it. So I think might have been what Aptyx was looking for. They're looking for dominance here, and that's something that this particular composition is going to give them.
Yeah, and Aptyx is one of those teams where it's like kind of 50-50 if they're going to really push the choke or push the spawns hard. Moser are going to be taking the opportunity. Absolutely not going to be the last one to be left out on getting the frag kills here. And, you know, Zeal getting the tire kill on Lucid Science might open up something for them. And Aptyx going to have to back off just a little bit. But Lucid's still going to be able to get to the fight rather quickly. It's not going to be suffering too much.
Yeah, unfortunately, as far as kills go, getting the Winston means that Winston's probably going to be back on the point a lot faster than any of the other heroes. For example, say maybe Zarya. So we already can see Lucid Science is just about ready to read. No, yep, there he is. He's back. So the kill, all that does is push Aptyx back away from their choke, but now Wolfwind is the only one with an ult. And yes, as Waltham mentions, the ult goes on to Potato, who is building grab potential very quickly.
Yeah, you like to see it. Potato not quite utilizing it too much. As I say that, the kills now going to start flowing through, but really it's a tough situation. Buzz going to just be trying to 1v1 Potato on that Zarya, and you know, that's just an excuse for the Zarya to just feed as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and Sinai, Tree did a very solid job of drawing some attention back onto the point, but Moser lands the sleep dart of the ages, knocks that GJ down, and they pretty much just dance on the car before he goes down. Again, not much of a stagger because they are literally already back in the fight, but with Riso now ready with mines on the Hammond, that switch having come in a little earlier. Interesting defense with no ults for Sinai. It's going to be a very hard 30-second push.
Yeah, we're not even going to get to see any more eco pushes come out. We can see the Grav minefield kind of situation come out from Potato and Riso. You don't see that a whole lot, so I'm not expecting it. Still a possibility you might want to keep eyes out for. And it looks like actually that is kind of what they're going for here, laying the mines in the hallway. That is a tight area for a lot of mines to be in.
Sweet jumpin' Jesus, is that a potato grab worth grabbing? And so the barriers comes out a little early. I don't think they're planning on needing them. A Sempai'd antied, and antied Senpai gets destroyed, landed. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Aptyx eSports takes it 3-1. What a hell of a match.
Yeah, overall, again, Sinai definitely walking away with something in their pocket here. Not a lot of teams can say they even took one map off of Aptyx, and there were some points on other maps where we still saw them looking a little bit favored. I mean, even here we saw them not give Aptyx the full 3. You have to kind of like that. I can kind of respect the grit behind this team. I look forward to seeing them in the losers brackets, which is where we will be seeing them next. Aptyx going to be carrying on along the main.
I could not have put it better myself, because of all the teams that we usually get see blown out of here, the performance coming out, and this is the first time that I got to see them, not the first time rather, but this is not the first time I've gotten to see them, and boy do I hope it's not the last, so thank goodness it isn't. Sinai Village is really fun to watch. Again, seeing them declare that they are going to get off the 3-3 and then actually act on it, getting in that practice, making sure that, and taking maps, making the fight not something that is a foregone conclusion. That makes me happy.
Yeah, and one thing that would make me happy, folks, before we let you go, before we perhaps step into this post-game interview where it looks like we're still trying to figure out if anybody's going to be hopping on, don't forget to vote for the MVP votes here. Me and Threep will be hanging out just a little bit, even still just talking about the game if nobody's able to join us. So we will be awaiting your votes there. Don't forget to drop them in the Twitch extension below. But it looks like we do have a post-game, Threep.
Yes, if my eyes do not deceive me, I think we're going to be looking at Carfixer, who is a, how do we say this? They do a lot of hard work. It's one of the names that we kind of call out a lot, but not necessarily because other heroes, other names, they get the big whoops, they get the oohs, they get the ahs, but Carfixer is one of those heroes, one of those players who does a lot of work back there in the back line. Carfixer, how is you doing today?
Doing all right. Just a little bit tired, but we made it through.
I hear you. I don't want to say this. This is no disrespect to any team that you guys have played, but this is pretty late for an Aptyx game.
Yeah.
So coming off of that, how you feeling? And did you guys really feel threatened? It seems like there was a little bit of a rocking back on your heels there for a moment.
Yeah, it was a little bit of that. Definitely, it's a little bit because we were tired, a little bit because actually Slushy is one of our guys. He's actually not on our roster, but he's just a friend that we made, and he's a good substitute, and he's there when we need him. And Potato kind of wasn't here for the first half. Slushy couldn't be here for the second half, so it kind of worked out. But we were just kind of relax a bit, not take it too hard, because we definitely have some really rough tournaments, and we've been having a couple of rough games and opens, so we wanted to just taking a little bit of the edge off, and then finally had to straighten up just to get the W.
I mean, hey, good stuff, yeah, right? Because, you do what you gotta do and you make the comps happen. Of course, we love watching Aptyx. We love seeing the ridiculously crazy comps. Honestly, I think Waltham almost had a heart attack when you guys did jump out with a 3-3, but it, was a little different with the double barrier, so that's always super fun to see. So, that being said, we've asked you a bunch of questions before. I want to reiterate. So what do you like most about playing those support type heroes?
Mainly it's the control and the game sense, because I'm the shot caller for a team. So from the back, you can see a lot of the battlefield, and you can just kind of control where people stand, and you can decide how fights happen, almost like a overlord kind of view. And I just enjoy that, and making sure people can do their job, and sometimes just healing people so much that they have to do their job eventually. I find that fun.
I like that.
Yeah, can't argue with that at all in the slightest. So, one more thing before you go. So that was a pretty interesting match from the Sinai Village coming out there. So looking ahead to the next matches, it looks like you're going to be playing the winner of the Rakunyans and the Team Horizon. But down there on the opposite of the main bracket, there is a particular team that is ripping their way through, and they're making
off the map.
Off the map eSports. What do you think?
We've already heard about them. We knew about them since they came into the Watchers tournament because we actually know about them before. So we're definitely have to straighten up when we go against them and have some. I think it's going to be a fun matchup.
At the very least, it'll definitely be an opportunity to play some really good Overwatch. And frankly, I'm not saying it's going to happen because the Tide Pods are a fierce team.
Yes,
but as far as matches go, like if that was one of the ones that I had to cast for, like I feel like I can manage. That being said, thank you, Carfixer, for making it happen again. Congratulations to you and Aptyx eSports. Also, congratulations, Waltham hit us with the MVP.
Yeah, so it is going to be Daddy Dylan coming out with that spicy MVP. Not too big of a surprise. We saw a lot of good DPS play coming through. Except, I believe, at that last map, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Car, did we see Daddy Dylan on the Mercy on Hollywood? I feel like
we did. That was a little bit of the kicking back on our heels. As you saw, that ironically, Dylan is normally our Pharah, and I'm normally our Mercy. And if you kind of saw, we might have swapped those two roles. So
I liked it. I liked it. Congratulations on the win. Congratulations, Daddy Dylan, for getting our MVP, and congratulations to our viewers for being able to sit through another Waltham and Threep cast here. But to everybody out there watching, we appreciate you guys giving us your views. For your casting pleasure, I've been Sir Waltham. You can catch me on Twitch at Sir Waltham, Twitter, Sir Waltham Gaming.
And as always, it's been Threepwood007 on Twitch and Twitter at Threepwood007. We're going to be back at 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Thank you, Daylight Savings Time, for ruining everyone's lives. Stay safe, have fun, and we'll see you in half an hour.
Take care.